go back down the agenda.
Start the recording. We are live.
Alright, it's 8:13 PM and the meeting is back in session. Is there anything to come from the executive session?
Not at this time.
Not at this time. Alright. We are moving along and we will move into general business. And on page 2 of your packet, you will see the zoning commission meeting minutes. Take a look at that. Do we need a motion for this?
Just review.
Alright, we actually do not need a motion for those, so it's just review of the zoning commission. If there are any questions, please let me know. If not, we will move along. On page 4 of your packet, you're going to see the regular council meeting minutes for May 22nd. Take a look at those. Once finished, or if there are any edits, we will entertain that motion.
I'll make a motion to accept.
I apologize, Kelly.
Oh, sorry.
What did you say? Motion?
I'll make a motion to accept.
I'll second that motion.
Councilmember Campbell has made the motion to accept the meeting minutes with Councilmember Mays providing the second. The new members of council, you may want to recuse yourself from this vote, just since you were not here. But Tara, can you do a roll call?
Councilmember Ring,
Yes.
Councilmember Mays,
Yes.
Councilmember Bakke,
Yes.
Councilmember Jones,
Abstain.
Councilmember Pringle, Councilmember Campbell.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. On page 7 of your meeting packet, you're going to see the meeting minutes from the work session on June 12th. Take a look at those. And when ready, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Councilmember Bakke has properly made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
With Councilmember Campbell providing the second. Tara, roll call please.
Councilmember Mays,
Yes.
Councilmember Bakke,
Yes.
Councilmember Jones,
Abstain.
Councilmember Pringle, Councilmember Campbell,
Yes.
Councilmember Ring.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. All right, next item on the agenda is an easement agreement. And Joe, I will turn to you for discussion on this.
So yes, Councilmember Mays happens to own some property that is located next to village property. And he has reached out to administration about the concept of a new business that he's starting and needing an easement agreement for access. After talking with his attorney and further thinking about this, given his role as a council member, he obviously can't participate in any action that we would take to grant something like that. But I think the better course of action would be to do a license agreement, which what that is, it's a temporary use of property that we would be granting him the ability to use under certain stipulations that could be negotiated. We know, I think most people in the village know, that there's a very tight area back there where his property meets the church's property, and then he already owns an easement across our property there for purposes of access. This would be an additional easement for purposes of access that would allow patrons of the village, including people in our park, to wander over and make dairy purchases from the window that he's installing there. So there's a dual benefit to the village as well as his business. And administration has been in discussions, and I worded it as Mike Mays, but it's the LLC that he's forming, or has formed, in order to operate the business. But in the interest of transparency, he's the owner of the LLC, so he could not participate. This would only be a license. It's not anything beyond that. And so what I'm looking for is, if this is something that council would like to do, maybe a motion or something to authorize administration and myself to negotiate that access for purposes of his property. And again, legally, I would propose doing that as a license. That would protect the village's interest in the future versus an easement, which would be more perpetual. And it would allow us to come up with the terms that would be appropriate so that we do two things. We allow for the use that's been requested, and we preserve the village's property. So I'm happy to answer any questions that members may have about that. And that's the course of action, though, that rather than an easement, it's evolved into a license. So, and it isn't uncommon, I will tell you, with the streetscape project that we have going on, you may remember in the visual, they talked about outdoor seating for those businesses that are located along the courthouse square. We would actually be entering into license agreements with maybe the Coffee Loft or other businesses that are located there that allow them to put some tables, and that protects our ownership of the sidewalk, but at the same time would allow them some limited use. So this isn't something that is limited to Councilmember Mays or any other individual who happens to own property on the square. This is something that I would envision us doing more of down the road if we truly are able to accomplish what Structure Point has talked about with the renovations going on in the courthouse square. So this would actually kind of be a trial balloon for us to negotiate such an agreement with the anticipation that there would be others down the road.
So the licensing keeps the ball rolling, he can get his business open, and we can pursue this.
Yeah, and I will also state that if our intentions change in that relationship down the road, we might find that we don't need the property, we might find that we want to change the use of that property. We would be able to do that under circumstances that we could negotiate as part of that agreement. And again, placing our interest as a village first on how we want to use that property. But it is property that the easement as it's been, or the license as it's been proposed, is not land that we're currently using. Because it's only a limited amount of that land. It's about 15 feet coming out and an awning hanging over and things like that. So it's in the air. It's not necessarily land or airspace that we're currently using for anything. So what I would be seeking at this point is some kind of authorization to allow the administrator to negotiate that type of license agreement with the business.
I make a motion to approve the administrator to negotiate the license with the aforementioned business.
Councilmember Bakke has properly made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councilmember Jones. Tara, roll call.
Councilmember Pringle,
You may.
yes. Councilmember Campbell,
Yes.
Councilmember Rain,
Yes.
Councilmember Mays,
I can't.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
You'll
Councilmember
recuse
Bakke,
yourself.
Yes.
Councilmember Jones.
Yes.
All right, it looks like that motion passes, and that then falls in the hands of the solicitor and administrator, so. All right, we are moving along. Next item on the agenda, it looks like we're back to the property maintenance code. Travis and Joe, I'm gonna come to you guys again on this.
Yeah, so this is still tabled. We can discuss it tonight, or we can continue review, and I can answer questions individually or whatever council would.
I would like to say something on that if I can. I spoke with Kelly in regards to this, and I know that he had, when Councilman, or Campbell, and I know that there was some things removed, or was working on being removed. I would like to, and I don't know if I need to make a motion for this, but what I'd like to see us do at the next meeting, if we can, I know that's a work session meeting, so I would love to see those things that other council members, along with Mr. Campbell, has wrote down, and make sure that them are removed, and then kind of just go over it as a committee to verify that we're 100% satisfied with what we're putting out on the people that put us in these seats.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. I would just encourage any council members who have items that they would like to see removed, to let me know ahead of time. That way I can redline those and we can discuss those in particular and just go through it. And I'll make sure that the new council members have a copy right away so that you can start reviewing. And I'd be happy to sit down with you and go through it as well.
I think that would be my recommendation, along with what Councilmember May said, is because we do have 2 new members, and that way that, if we, at the next meeting, looks like it's July 10th, that maybe we set a deadline that if any council member, if there's issues you don't like, that Travis needs at least a 2-day notice, or maybe by the 8th, that way he has time to get a draft together, and it's something that everybody's read through, satisfied, and keep us rolling.
Any additional comments? Okay, all right, we will definitely continue the discussion on this. All right, that brings us along to our roundtable session of the meeting, and this is where I come to you guys and you bring up any topics or items of interest. So Mike, I'm gonna start with you on the end.
Only thing I have to say is I just wanted to kind of come out and announce, since we're getting closer, that we are intending to do some things for the community up on the square. We're getting ready to open a game room, which will bring a lot of fun to the kids in our community and to the adults. We'll also be putting in a dairy bar up there in the old Sundry store, or maybe most people might know it these days as Michael Cycle's old building, or the Republican Party headquarters. But exciting things coming for our community up there on the square, and look forward to being a part of that.
What kind of games do you have in there?
We have a golf simulator that'll play up to 6 players. We have 6 virtual reality stations. We have 2 really nice Brunswick pool tables, a shuffleboard table, 30 arcade games, and then for the weary mom and dad that gets drug up there by their children, we have 2 massage chair rooms with 0 gravity massage chairs with the heat and TVs to go along with them to relax. So, and the dairy bar. So, wonderful things coming for the square.
All right,
That's it.
congratulations, thank you. Councilmember Ring?
Nope.
Councilmember Baki?
Nothing.
Councilmember Campbell?
Yes, sorry, I need to find it real quick. I have something for Travis on Marshall Avenue coming off of 32nd Street, 125, whatever. There's a pine tree on the right that if you could have the guys trim that back, it's knocking the mirrors pretty bad of the truck. I'd like to get the street sweeping started maybe one time the week before the fair.
We just did it for skate night, and I think we probably should do it for Beer Fest too, coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're trialing it with Rumpke, they're willing to do it, we're just trying to figure out the best time of day to do that,
Okay.
and how to make those announcements.
Who is in charge of the back bathrooms at the park? Is that the village or do we?
Yeah, it's a village.
Okay. I had a complaint about it last Saturday, and you might want to send the guys out. They said the women's was pretty, with a lot of stuff thrown around, if you know what I mean. And I want to thank whoever put the signs up for High Street, and I think that's right by Mays. Is that North Apple or whatever, where the cross traffic does not stop? That's been, I think, a big help because people are not running the stop signs. So I saw there's new signs there. I wanted to thank Jesse for that. What we saw this morning, I thought that was pretty cool. And then the last thing was on Dell Acres, which is off of Lake. Very back in the curve, there is a manhole that's sticking up. One side's probably sticking up 4 inches out of the pavement. It just, the blacktop taper's kind of cracked off, so maybe have the guys hit it, but
All right, thank you. Our newest council member, Councilmember Pringle, anything for the group? Thank you again for putting the farmer's market on tonight. Sorry, it rained a little bit, just a little. All right, and our other newest member, Councilmember Jones, anything for the group tonight?
Is it possible to maybe at our next meeting to talk about maybe some of the issues that were brought forth tonight, like the park issues and the utility issues and maybe the employee schedules that was brought up tonight? Like we can hash it out, talk about it, see what we can or can't do or what needs to be done.
Sure.
Can I tail off of that real quick?
Sure.
Yeah, or maybe even, I don't know about, I'm sure the discussion is important, but maybe we could get Travis to look into, maybe even having somebody go up there and just kind of run across that park and look and see, even if we could get with the fire department and borrow their side by side to make it a little bit swifter, the traveling across that, playground, or the park and the soccer field, and just kind of, even if they took a couple hours and went up there and rode across that to verify that there ain't no debris that somebody could get hurt on, backing off of what Jeremy said. And then Another concern to me, I mean, it's pretty much the same concern as the small stubbles that are sticking up. If somebody did fall on them, I don't know where they're at. I've heard about them, but
Maybe it's better if Travis just gives us an update on what's going on in the park, because we've talked a lot about what has happened at the park and what's still ongoing.
Right.
And I think that's a lot of misunderstanding possibly, so that might be a fair way to start. Because
Right.
there's a lot of things going on that I think people grab bits and pieces of it and don't latch onto the full project. So I think that might be a better way to start, and then we can go from there and see where that conversation goes. So we can add that to the next meeting, absolutely. Anything else,
That's it.
Councilmember Jones?
That's it, thank you.
Solicitor, anything?
Yes, actually. As a result of us having 2 vacancies on council, and a couple other things that have happened over the course of the last, I would even say year, I was looking at our council, our charter states that council will adopt its own rules. And a long time ago, council adopted rules. One of the rules that we adopted is that resolutions only need to be read once, ordinance can be read twice, we have emergencies, things like that. I would just like to throw out there that maybe in the long term, over the next 2 months, it might be wise for the administrator, the mayor, myself, and maybe a couple or a member or 2 of council to be reviewing the council rules to enhance them a little bit, to address things such as, what does happen when we have multiple vacancies, and maybe even formalize the process for filling those vacancies, among other things. I've kind of kept a cheat sheet of things that over the past couple of years I knew we needed to address. I think that would be something to look at, and I just would throw out there for your consideration that as soon as you finish property maintenance code, that might be the type of thing to look at, just enhancing our council rules a little bit.
That can be done, all right. And then Travis, anything for the group?
Yeah, a few things. I have tennis court core samples. So we did 2 core samples there. The first one's on the left. It was not quite as thick of asphalt, but you can see we had the 2 layers. And then the first core, they went down 16 inches and didn't get through the gravel. So there is a good gravel base. You can't really tell with that portable coring machine how compacted it was. The second core sample was a little thicker. They went down about 12 inches and hit clay with that one. So I think the issue is maybe not the base as much as that top layer of asphalt is just not thick enough, and it's separating. It's contracting and expanding and kind of moving on top of that lower course, and that lower course I think is plenty thick enough. I'm just not sure how we fix the issue at this point.
So is this water getting in the cracks of the surface and that's what's causing it? Could you cap it, or do you have to remove what's there and then redo?
I mean, I'm sure 5 years ago that we did a crack seal, and it was recoated, but here it is 5 years later, and it looks horrible. And then the other issue still is those posts. I don't think there was ever concrete put in there sufficiently to hold those posts. They're pulling in and pulling up. So I think there's 2 issues that we have to address: is how to fix the surface, how to fix the post, and then at what point do we continue maintaining it or give it back to the school?
Yeah, I think the only fix, the way it looks to me, is it needs to be milled down, get rid of that top layer. I don't think there was any tack put on it, so it didn't stick, I don't think. And then, like you said, it's settling, and then the cracks didn't get taken care of, like right off the bat, and then it just gets water and freeze and thaw, and now I think it's just getting in between the layers. So, unfortunately, it's not gonna be a cheap fix.
Travis, where do you want to go with this?
I could get a quote for milling that top layer off and resurfacing and see what they say. And then we'll make a decision. I'll do that. Okay, so that's that on tennis courts. I want to give an update on the ACGP bidding process. We're very close to going out to bid on the 2 projects, one being the visitor center and the other the streetscape. So, as you know, we are considered a sub-recipient under the Ross County umbrella, and So they've been advising that all these projects go out as a lump sum bid. And typically you'll have a lump sum bid on a construction like a building. You know, it's easy to estimate what that cost is. It's all above ground. But typically with street work or a streetscape or any underground work, water mains, sewer mains, it's bid by item quantity so that, you know, the engineer estimates 200 feet of this main. Well, you may dig it up and there's something not like we think it is, and it ends up costing 200 or taking 250 feet of main, and then there's a change order to cover the contractor so that they aren't out that 50 foot. Or if it's 180 feet, you know, we get that back. There's a change order that decreases the quantity. They're pushing for lump sum bids, which is just unheard of, and I've done a lot of research on this. We've talked, Joe and I have talked, I've talked to a lot of other municipalities and other engineers who are not connected with this, and I mean, it's unanimous that you just don't do lump sum pricing on this type of work because, hey, if a contractor even wants to take a chance of bidding on a lump sum, they're gonna inflate the price to cover the risk. So we've told Ross County that we're going to do item quantity bidding. So I just wanted you to know that we were not going with their recommendation, and that we're going to do
Way better.
item quantity. So there may be change orders that we may be forced to pay for, but that's with any grant. If there's a change order above that, you're going to pay for it. But then you're getting quality work because you don't get 80% of the way through and the contractor's out of money. You know? And then what are they going to do? They're going to slop the finish. So, you know, I just wanted you to be aware, but that's what we decided to do. Now, we'll still do lump sum on the visitor center.
Will we get a copy of the final plan for that? I apologize for bumping in on that.
No, yeah, that's fine. I think we just have, I'm not sure if I have the 100% plans yet. I've got the 100% estimate, so I can send those out. I can send out the plans that I have. There's two, there's a base bid and an option. So some of the stuff like irrigation, that type of stuff's in the option. So that's the update on that. We do have a new resident that lives on Bill D Drive, and they've requested consideration for having that street dedicated. So I'll work with Joe on how that process goes. I think there's a lot of work that would need to be done before we would accept that street. I'm not sure if council would even want to accept that street, but we'll give them specifications of what needs to happen before it can be, and then council can make a decision on that. I'll follow up on that at the next meeting. And then just FYI, before the next meeting starts, we'll have our annual tax budget hearing. So that'll start at 6, just before the meeting, for the annual tax budget that gets filed to Brown County. And I think that's it.
Any questions for Travis? Okay, thank you. All right, furthering along on the agenda, our next meeting is going to be on July 10th here in this room, starting at 6 p.m. That will be a work session. And then as well, I know we've been working hard on the beer festival that's coming up on July 19th. So that will be from 5 to 11 p.m. So make sure to mark your calendars. It's going to be a good event. Outside of that, is there anything else to come before council tonight? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Jeremy Jones has made the motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilmember Bakke. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?